In South Carolina, the landlord of a man named Bill found inappropriate explicit pictures of Bill's son while attending to an issue in the attic, and after finding these pictures of the 7-year-old child, the concerned landlord notified police about it, causing police to launch an investigation, before eventually arresting Bill, who took the inappropriate pictures of his own son. And after being caught, Bill would do an interview and explain all the past cruel things he had done, not only to his son, but his wife as well.
I took him to the hospital on a number of different occasions. Recall one occasion I beat him up very bad. And I took him to the hospital and they asked me what happened, and I told them that he fell down a flight of stairs and my wife was with me. And we didn't have no stairs in the house. My wife stood there and looked at me like, are you crazy? My son said, we don't have stairs. And the nurse told my son to be quiet, that she's not talking to him, she's talking to me. And she asked me to just go ahead and continue relaying, giving her the information. And I continued to tell her that he had fallen down a flight of stairs at home, bumped into the wall, hit the rail. She asked how many stairs it was. I told her it was about 10 or 12 stairs that he had fallen down. And that's how he got himself hurt and bruised up. And she said, okay, and that's the way the hospital report went. It was reported only to my wife 6 or 7, well, I take it back, it was reported to my wife and my parents probably 6 or 7 different times. And there was actually one instance where I went to the police station myself to turn myself in. And the officer at the desk told me to go home and sleep off my drunk. And I left. If it wasn't for the fact that my landlord had found some pornographic pictures of my son in the attic of the home where we were living, I would probably still be molesting.
Why wasn't your son believed?
I made up stories about him, and there was a lot of belief that the adults were to be believed and stepchildren weren't, that this was a problem with. He didn't believe him. I think general society is easy to fool. Extremely easy to fool. And I say that because of how long I have fooled society and how long I've fooled people. I've been fooling people for well over 25 years. And people have believed what I told them.
In this period of time, when you said you were a molesting monster at home, what were you like in terms of controlling people, and in terms of violence? What was really going on in your house that people didn't know about? What people didn't know about going on in my home was a lot of extreme violence. Beating my son up, beating my wife up. If my wife wouldn't have sex with me when I wanted it, where or how I wanted it, I would beat her up and then rape her after I'd beat her. I had beaten my son into unconsciousness a number of times. And then I would keep him, sometimes kept locked up in the house until his bruises healed up. Keep him away from school, keeping him away from his friends. Nobody around me knew what I was doing. Nobody around my community knew that I was such a violent individual in the home. If they did, they never said anything. But I don't believe they ever knew, because I was completely and totally different outside of the house once I left the home.
After being caught by police, Bill was charged with multiple counts of child endangerment, sexual assault, assault and battery, and possession of underage explicit material, and eventually sentenced to 65 years in prison. In Cincinnati, Ohio, a self-proclaimed racist and white supremacist named Joseph Paul Franklin murdered 14-year-old Daryl Lane and 13-year-old Dante Brown as he unfortunately crossed paths with them on the street, while he claims he was looking for an interracial couple in public to make an example out of by shooting and murdering them. And after being arrested for murdering 2 young boys due to their race, Franklin would confess to doing it and explain the motives behind his disturbing actions and what exactly he did to them.
Yeah, the only thing I can say is I did do it.
And can you also tell me why you did it?
I was trying to get rid of all the ugly people in the world.
Okay.
And
Why did you
I
select?
consider the blacks the ugliest people of all. I just put the gun right on the biggest dude first, you know, and fired one shot with that 44 Magnum. And so, you know, I just heard somebody make a sound like like they just got shot, you know. And as soon as the other guy bolted, it was just like through a miracle that I got him, man, you know. I did not even aim the gun at him, man. As soon as he heard that shot, he just bolted and started running. And I aimed the gun without even, just in the dark there, just hoping that I would get a lucky shot and hit him, you know. And sure enough, it actually got him.
After being charged with murder and multiple hate crimes against Jewish and African American people, Franklin was eventually sentenced to death and was killed by lethal injection on November 20th, 2013. In Iowa, a man named Robert Gerald Hoos participated in an interview where he explained how he had been grooming his young stepdaughter to be the perfect mate for him ever since she was a toddler, and during the disturbing interview, he would share what he did and what his intentions were with his wife at the time's child.
Grooming her from the age of, it started about the age of 1. When I was the punisher, I was the one who decided punishment over the children. I was the one who spanked the children. I was the one who punished the children. And if I seen the children doing anything wrong, even bickering, arguing amongst themselves, I would whip them and tell them, you know, just kids playing. I would tell myself, well, she's not going to be like that. She is going to be the perfect mate. And I told myself that. And I didn't molest her then.
Perfect mate.
The perfect mate. I was grooming her to fit me. To fit me.
And at what age?
I started it at about a year. I started grooming her, whooping her, and telling her this, to do this, not do that. Then when I molested her at 18 months old. And I thought to myself, I said, well, this is going to be easy. This is going to be easy. I'm going to have my own child, my own stepdaughter, which is really not blood related to me. And I'm telling myself these things, it's not blood related to me. When she grows up to be 14, 15 years old, I will have the perfect sexual mate for sexual purposes. Anything else didn't matter. It was sex. That was it. I didn't care about, really, honestly, I didn't love the child. I wanted the child for my own purposes.
Luckily, Hoos would be stopped after being caught in the act in the girl's room by her mother, leading to Robert being arrested and charged with multiple counts of sexual abuse and eventually being sentenced to 55 years in prison.